if life were Toastmasters? Not what if life were like Toastmasters, but what if life were Toastmasters? Well, before we were even born, of course our mother would be given a magical timing device, much like the one that Sarah's using tonight, but magical. And when the green light went off, her doctor would tell her, that gives you 90 minutes to get to a delivery room. Okay? Otherwise, you could face possible birthing in a cab in New York or any kind of calamity like that. But then once the happy day arrives and you're born, then the magical timer takes on a new role and it's gifted to the baby, who will then be instructed when he or she is old enough that they'll be watching out for the yellow light. And of course, the yellow light in the timer for this magical timer in Toastmasters life is midlife. You know, so when the yellow light starts going off, that's when we go out and buy a Corvette or way too many purses and shoes. We signify our midlife crisis. And the engineers in the room, you know who you are. You guys will be doing the math to figure out when the Grim Reaper's coming. You're going to double when that light goes off. But that's not a topic for tonight's talk. But when you're born in Toastmasters life, you're born with an entourage. You are gifted at birth a Toastmaster. Now, whether or not your parents knew it, when you were born, they were Toastmasters. And they didn't even know they were Toastmasters unless, of course, they really were Toastmasters, at which point they knew. But your parents will teach you how to speak. They will teach you right and wrong, hopefully. Teach you a value system. So your parents were your first Toastmasters. They didn't even know it. And then you would have a whole set of functionaries assigned to you at birth. You'd have your eye counter, which would more or less have a vacation until you spoke your first words, as well as the grammarian. So hopefully those two got along well because maybe they'd go to the Bahamas together. And then you'd also have a table topics person assigned to you. Now the table topics person in your Toastmasters entourage, that's going to be the jester of the group. He or she's going to have a lot of fun asking you off-the-cuff questions at inopportune moments. And you can just imagine what some of those questions might be like. If you were a beer, what kind of beer would you be and why? And of course, this would be in the middle of a job interview when they'd ask this question. If you got fired from your job, your last job, why did you get fired and what would you do differently? Can you wait till the interview's over, please? And then you would also have assigned, as we all do, an evaluator. Probably the most important role in Toastmasters, in my view, the most valuable role, is the evaluator. And in real life, we know that evaluators don't always know the sandwich rule. They don't always start with the good, and then they constructive criticism, and then the good. So for instance, here's how it goes in Toastmasters life. While your oratory was excellent and very interesting, perhaps, just perhaps, the audience could have benefited from some more intense active listening on your part. So next time, though interesting, maybe you would do well to listen to the other person. And in real life, it would be something like, "You could talk a starving dog off a meat truck, shut the hell up!" And in Toastmaster land, everywhere we get, our entourage would follow us around and we'd look and brush our teeth and we'd give them a round of applause. Excellent job. And this would go on throughout our life. And we would really begin to value our evaluators and our grammarians. Grammarians would wake us each morning with the word of the day. Discombobulated. You sure are. And then they would follow you around all day. How many times did you use discombobulated? I've got a job interview today. I can't use discombobulated. Then the eye counter, if you can imagine, if you've ever been to a carnival, you go on the carnival rides and they have those little clickers to see how many people are on the ride to make sure that the ride's not over capacity. And each eye counter, when you were born, would be given their magical counter. And they would follow you around all the time. And like, you know. And for some of us, right, they might need a 6-wheel on there because that thing might turn over after about 20 years. So I have to be careful with that. And the grammarian, they would give us a feedback at the end of each day, how we did using our own language. It would be our native language. We would use our language, and they would tell us proper and improper uses of the language. And by the time we were 20 or 25, we'd be great speakers, great leaders. The world would be a wonderful place. So I will say to you this. Today, according to Toastmasters International, there's somewhere between 270 and 280,000 Toastmasters. And as Larry pointed out before the meeting, there's something like 7-point-some billion people in the world. So what is that? That is opportunity. Opportunity for us to create a Toastmaster utopian. Madam Contest Master?